Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about a report coming from my colleague at Hoops Hype. Michael Scotto is reporting that the Celtics are exploring the trade market of Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. Now, he did say that Derek White and Sam Hauser are two other guys to keep an eye for, but that Derek White specifically was very unlikely to be traded. So before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you guys think and why? We did discuss potential trades for Kristaps Porzingis with Eric Pincus recently in a video. And in that video, obviously, you guys know about the second tax apron rules, specifically them being almost $20 million over. I think the apron is just a little bit below $207 million. They're at like $223 million. And the first apron is at 196 and some change. So for this team, the Boston Celtics, to get out under those restrictions or at least get into the first apron, they probably would like to get off of both, but at least getting into the first apron would help cut back. Now, Pincus did say a deal to Brooklyn would be the best case scenario for Kristaps Porzingis and Boston, as Kristaps goes to the situation where he can actually be a stud. He's familiar with the city, which is New York, as he had formerly played there, and they have a ton of cap room, and he probably would be better than any of the potential free agents, and they have the money to give him an extension, as he's extension eligible due to him being an expiring contract. Now, let me read you the report. Quote, several executives around the league believe Boston will explore the trade market for center Kristaps Porzingis, who's owed $30.73 million and an expiring contract after the 2025-26 season. Celtics guard Jrue Holiday, who turns 35 later this month and is owed a combined $104.4 million over the next 3 years, including a player option for the 2027-28 season, has already been linked to trade interest from the Clippers and the Mavericks. Another trade candidate to keep an eye on in the eyes of NBA executives around the league is sharpshooter Sam Hauser, a career 42% shooter from beyond the arc and has been a consistent rotation player for Boston the past 3 seasons. Hauser will begin a 4-year, $45 million contract starting in the 2025-26 season. So, with that being said, it makes sense if they were exploring options. Let's say Jrue Holiday, with the contract he has, might be hard to get off of it, and if they do get off of it, they're going to have to take salary matching contracts or near salary matching contracts, because obviously they're at the second apron, so they have to get below the second apron in a trade. So, for example, if it was a deal for Dallas and Jrue Holiday, we can easily assume something along the lines of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. However, I would assume that it had to be a 3-team trade that would send Daniel Gafford or PJ Washington, or even a larger trade that sends both of those guys somewhere else, and Boston just gets cap flexibility and cap space and maybe a second-round pick or first-round picks. Just the compensation that Boston is looking is probably either cheap contracts, draft picks, and primarily they are prioritizing, I'd have to assume, cap space. To me, the biggest thing is if they can get off of either Jrue or Kristaps, I would then assume that they would probably, the dream scenario I think they would like at this point in my mind is packaging, or not packaging, but being able to get off of Jrue and Sam, as if they're able to get off of both of those contracts, it would actually get them below the second apron. And this is assuming that it would be 2 separate moves that would enable them to do this, because you can't aggregate contracts, but you can have two players in a deal that gets you below the second apron, because it's not contract aggregation, because two players in a trade is not aggregating contracts, but adding two players to get to a contract is aggregating. If you guys watch the Eric Pincus video, he does explain like how aggregating works and why you can still technically have like, you know, multiple players in a trade. If you're a second apron team, it just has to get you below the second apron if that's the trade you're doing. So to me, I think the biggest thing is that when you see a team like Boston, where I'm pulling up their current salary for the upcoming year, Boston is a squad that $223 million. Kristaps is making 30.7, and as we said earlier, and Jrue Holiday is making 32.4. Now, Sam Hauser is making 10.04 next year. So if he was packaged with either player, this would allow the team to get to 180 with some change, depending if it's Porzingis or Jrue Holiday. And even if you were just to trade one of them in Jrue Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis, you'd still be getting to about 193, which would put you just below the first apron. Now, in my eyes, if you were trying to get 40 million, it's probably to get some of your flexibility back, like your exceptions and stuff to do, because they probably view the upcoming season as a gap year, which I think a lot of us do too. It's not their fault. And so because they have to take a gap year, I think they're looking, how can we maybe get cap flexibility to reload in 2026 and just go into 2025 to develop our talent? And to me, I think that's actually not that bad of an idea. And we develop the talent, we gain flexibility, we reload in assets, and instead of just burning a year, we kind of use it as a developmental year and a year to help us gain the flexibility. So to me, that's the biggest thing is, I think being able to just turn around and find ways to do cap gymnastics that way once Jason Tatum is healthy, because I don't think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going anywhere. I don't think Derek White's going anywhere. I'm wondering what Al Horford will do. That's a big one. He's very old. And does he stay? Does he go? Does he retire? Because if they're going to try to go for a title, that's going to be in 26 to 27, not in 25 to 26. Unless like Jaylen Brown becomes an MVP candidate and they make a series of moves to get him below the cap, but still help replenish the center position and give him some more complementary scoring, which that in itself, it would be a long shot, but is quite possible in the sense that, hey, I wouldn't put it past them if they were trying to still compete. I think they're still a playoff team just because Joe Mazzulla and the amount of talent on this team. But let me hear your thoughts. That's it for the Boston Celtics. Ciao.